Welcome into the latest edition of City Cost, where I take a look back at the week's news from Japan from this foreigner's perspective. And just to be clear, whilst the news is all real, the opinions are just my own, so if you've got your own, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So this week in Japan, survey reveals lack of information on new coronavirus for foreign visitors at hotels in Japan. Tokyo Disney resorts could get new train line from Haneda Airport. Osaka Airport becomes first in Japan to offer exclusive doggy toilets. Japan summer staple Gari Gari ice pops begin sales in Myanmar. Newly crowned oldest man alive cites laughter as key to longevity. So first up this week, we're going to start where probably every news media outlet in Japan has started, and that's with the new coronavirus. Now, I don't want to get too deep into this, and it almost seems ironic that in the blanket coverage that the news media are giving to this situation, that actually it's a story concerning a lack of information about the new coronavirus that we've picked up this week. And it refers to a survey that was conducted on January 29th and 30th by a company called the Survey Research Center. And they conducted a survey on foreign visitors to Japan, in which they found that more than half of those people surveyed were not provided with information on the new coronavirus at the hotels in which they were staying. Information such as where the infection had spread to and what precautionary measures were to be taken or could be taken. Actually, the survey itself was conducted at Tokyo Tower. It was around the time when the first suspected case of human-to-human transmission of the virus was reported in Japan. It says, according to reports, of the 256 respondents, 66.8% said they tried to collect information on the epidemic through websites from their home country, followed by 55.1% who relied on social networks and online communication with friends. Now, it's kind of, just on a sort of personal level here, one wonders what exactly the hotels and staff management at hotels in Japan are expected to do in terms of providing information on this new coronavirus. It almost seems like they might be treading on sort of a grey ground, if you like, putting themselves at risk of giving misleading information or perhaps being accused of scaremongering. I think it's a really difficult situation to judge in this case, although perhaps if one does check into a hotel in Japan, you might like to see some kind of leaflet or some kind of notice about the new coronavirus and about the possible precautionary measures that could be taken, washing your hands, perhaps wearing a mask, these kind of measures. Now, over on City Cost, we've had one or two blog posts from users actually addressing their concerns or their issues about the new coronavirus in Japan. One of them picked up on the story that came out a couple of weeks ago now, I guess, when the Japanese government first started chartering flights to bring nationals from the infected areas in China back into Japan. And there was the famous, now sort of famous or infamous story of, I think, a couple of those passengers on the chartered flight who turned down the opportunity to have a medical check upon their arrival in Japan. Now, this was met with some chagrin in this country, as is possibly quite understandable, really. The idea that at a time of kind of crisis like this, one can turn down a government medical check seems, well, the reaction to it was one of that it was quite extraordinary, in fact. On a personal level, it also seems quite extraordinary to me, particularly given that the company that I work for, it's hard to even refuse an annual Kenko Shindan, an annual company-issued medical check. You can't even turn that down, but somehow these people were able to turn down a check into the possible infection of the new coronavirus. And that seems to have caused some surprise and concern among readers of City Cost. Others also addressed the issue of these surgical masks. Obviously, again, news has been reporting on the shortage of surgical masks in Japan after the outbreak of the new coronavirus. You know, in sort of predictable fashion, these masks have been hoovered up from stores and they're harder to come by these days. But there were questions raised as to the effectiveness of these surgical masks and do we actually really need them? Again, I'm no expert, I can't really comment on this, but on a personal level, I definitely would like to see, or hear rather, a more clear and authoritative voice on the effectiveness of these surgical masks, whether they are really needed, particularly in light of the fact that, again, there are shortages and there have been reports of these masks being sold online for exorbitant prices, in a sense kind of exploiting people's vulnerability and concerns about this issue. Anyway, please let us know in the comments below, how are you keeping in touch with what's going on in terms of the new coronavirus here in Japan? Are you even that concerned about it? What kind of measures are you taking on a day-to-day level to kind of, you know, prevent yourself from becoming infected? And yeah, any other concerns, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Next up is the news that a new train route is being eyed between Haneda Airport and Tokyo Disney Resorts. This news is coming out of East Japan Railways, or JR East as they're more commonly known. And apparently, according to reports, they are considering opening a new route linking Haneda Airport to Tokyo Disney Resorts. The new route is part of JR East's plan to establish 3 lines to and from the airport, and it's expected that the project might be completed in stages from around 2029. Now, linking Haneda Airport to Tokyo Disney Resorts, again, on a personal level, sounds to me like good news for the people behind Tokyo Disney Resorts. We just did a quick check online to the current situation. If you wanted to get from Haneda Airport to Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea, just researching from the international terminal at Haneda Airport, according to what we found, it roughly takes about 70 minutes to get there at a cost of just over 1,000 yen one way. But the bad news is it requires, it seems to me, to be at least 4 train changes. Now, given that Haneda Airport, compared to Narita Airport, is, well, in my opinion, emphatically the most convenient international travel hub for the Japan capital. And it's also, I believe, the 5th busiest airport in the world. Given this situation, it seems to me that the people at Tokyo Disney Resorts and fans of Tokyo Disneyland, Disney Sea, people who are visiting these theme parks, would love to get their hands on some easier access from Haneda Airport. As I said, when I've just checked it online here, it's at least 4 changes of the train to get there, just over 1,000 yen, 70 minutes. If you've just come fresh off a plane, that's quite a long way to travel and quite a sort of convoluted way to travel to get there. So this surely comes as good news for fans and visitors to Tokyo Disney Resorts. Anyway, have you been to Tokyo Disneyland, Disney Sea recently? How did you get there? How much did it cost? How long did it take? Let us know in the comments below. Okay, in something of lighter news this week, comes from Osaka Airport, or Osaka International Airport, abbreviated to Itami. This has become Japan's first airport to offer exclusive toilets for use by dogs. Not just service dogs, which is sometimes the case in airports around Japan, but also passengers' pet dogs. According to the reports, the toilets at the Osaka Airport open from 5:30 a.m. in the morning until 10 p.m. The toilets feature showers, drinking water, benches, and something rather disturbingly called a pee pole, which cleans itself somehow. Now, I'm trying to imagine what a pee pole looks like and how it manages to clean itself, but I just can't seem to get there. Anyway, these toilets have been introduced at the airport on the back of requests from passengers and also airline officials who have reported occasional toileting accidents involving dogs on board their aircraft. So the new toilets are here for the dogs to, I guess, relieve themselves before they embark on their journey. Coming out of the news on Wednesday, sales of one of Japan's favourite ice-based snacks, Gari Gari ice pops, began in the Southeast Asian country of Myanmar this week. Now, okay, this is not exactly big news, but if you know anything about your ice creams in Japan, if you've got a taste for Japanese ice creams, you'll likely have had a taste of the Gari Gari ice pop. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, you can find these things pretty much everywhere, convenience stores, supermarkets. They're a sort of robust, rectangular shape, usually with a very loud packaging, and they're pretty cheap. I think they're probably under 100 yen, which definitely puts them in the sort of cheaper range of ice-based snacks here in Japan. Personally, I love them. They're really sort of juicy and flavoursome. I think the classic flavour is probably that sort of blue soda pop type thing that they seem to like so much here in Japan. I think I've also seen them in watermelon, orange, maybe a couple of other flavours as well. Anyway, they're cheap, delicious. I've no idea how healthy they are, however. The packaging suggests that they might not be, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. Anyway, the people in Myanmar are going to be able to get a taste of them for themselves. According to reports, Gari Gari will be sold at 90 cents, which is a price within the range of high-end ice creams. That's according to the reports. Now, as I said, here in Japan, the perspective is quite different, I should imagine. Gari Gari is definitely at the lower end of the ice cream price range here in Japan, where at the higher end, you're probably looking at around maybe up to sort of 200, 300 yen, maybe not as much as 300 yen, but 250 yen for a more sort of high-end ice cream. Gari Gari is at the lower end, and I think we're all the better for it because I think they're delicious. How about you? Let us know. What's your favorite ice cream here in Japan? Finally, again coming from Wednesday's news, and this is that a 112-year-old Japanese has been recognized as the world's oldest living man. Tetsu Watanabe, who was born on March 5th, 1907, cited laughter as the key to his longevity. According to the reports, Watanabe was recognized as the oldest living man after the previous holder of the title, Masazo Nonaka from Japan's northernmost mainland of Hokkaido, died on January 20th, 2019, aged 113. Born to a family of farmers in Joetsu, Watanabe moved to Taiwan at the age of 20 and spent 18 years there before he returned to Japan after World War II and worked as a civil servant in his hometown until his retirement. Watanabe, however, isn't quite yet the world's oldest living person. That honor goes to a 117-year-old Japanese lady in Fukuoka Prefecture. Her name is Kane Tanaka, and she is recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's oldest living person. That's all we've got for you this week then. If there's any news that you'd have liked to have seen in this edition, let us know in the comments below. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.